Good morning and welcome back to Relegations. It's finally back in summer split time.
Can't
We've
wait.
made it.
Here we are, PC Relegations here for the summer split. Really excited. I mean, a lot of roster changes across basically every team, even those that are trying to defend their SPL spots. So definitely an exciting day coming forward.
So if you've never seen Relegations before, what happens is every one of these teams will play each other once in a best of one. And then obviously the top two teams out of the 4 teams involved today will move on to enter the Pro League that starts in 2 weeks' time.
And it's going to be Sanguine versus Optimus Gang right up front. Optimus Gang came to land during the gauntlet, and they looked pretty good. They were able to take a victory over the Sanguine roster. So excited to see how these two differences really shake out this time around, because I believe Gorgonzolla from Optimus Gang is now part of Sanguine. He's kind of jumped up. Now he's got to beat his former team.
And Cherryo is also joining this roster for Sanguine as well as the support player there up against Optimus. Later on in the day, we're going to see Norvis also. You would have recognized him as Lion Guard from the previous split. A couple of roster changes there, as with Axios now joining the team over Frostiak. And the Pappies! If you don't know who the Pappies are, these are the Spanish giants that I think have competed in 5 or 6 relegations now. And they always just miss out.
Could this be the split that we see the Poppies break through into the SPL? I'm excited to watch, man.
No, I hope so. But we're going to start things off with Sanguine versus Optimus. We talked a little bit about them there. And we're going to get straight into the picks and bans for this one to see how these guys will play. Sanguine, obviously roster changes. Optimus with a pretty similar roster to what they started with. I believe the only difference is there. I think they've put DeathPanter in the mid lane, I believe.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
And removed Tins.
Yeah, exactly. So a couple different things, but you still got some of those familiar names. Sibi there for Optimus Gang. That's a big one there for them. So just a matter of how they can go up against their former teammate Gorgonzolla, who was a big part of what they wanted to do. Gorgonzolla was the one who was playing, the Susanos, moving around the map, being that impact in every single lane. And jungle is the one position that whenever you lose your jungler, it is very difficult to try and find that team synergy again, because jungle works with every single lane throughout the game. So how well can Optimus Gang really adapt without their jungler?
And I'll so you guys know as well which patch we're on is the current live patch that's on the servers right now. So we're back up to date. We obviously with the lands, we kind of fall behind a little bit on the patches. So it's the first time to see competitive play at this level with the latest patch.
But no Ganesh. Ganesh still auto-banned, unfortunately. I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table whenever he's ready for competitive. But a lot of jungle bans right off the bat, and it's going to be Fafnir, the first pick for Optimus.
Well, we are in Europe, and we saw how dominant Fafnir was around Masters. No real changes came to him either recently, so Fafnir's still a quality high-level pick, especially with Kernados and Raven banned away as well.
Yeah, I love this first pick. So many teams, especially in Europe, as you mentioned, really prioritize it. Sanguine going for the Thoth early on, and this is a pick that a lot of mid laners like to play, but maybe not this early. Very, very low clear in that mid lane. Takes a little bit to get going. Now in the late game, near unstoppable. I mean, Thoth is Scylla levels of scary come late game, but early game definitely punishable there.
And with the Bellona locked in there, they want to try and secure the solo lane more often than not, but it can run into the jungle, and it wouldn't really help the clear that Thoth's going to need in that mid lane. So there's an opportunity here for Optimus Gang to maybe take that jungler here and make sure there's not as an easy lane for Thoth.
Yeah, I would like to see pressure in the mid jungle right now to try and deal with that Thoth and really push it down early on. But I like this Osiris pick as well. Bellona is dominant in that solo lane, except when she goes up against Osiris. I like this pick up
It's top 3 for me. Osiris, Bellona, Raven are the top 3 to definitely see there. There's a little sprinkle of Amaterasu every now and again, but we're not seeing it for a while just now. But they're definitely the top 3, and I think Osiris versus Bellona is one of those matchups that can go either way.
Yeah, it's definitely a volatile matchup because both gods are pressure-oriented, and if one, if your jungler comes over and makes a gank early on, all of a sudden you're falling behind, and then the other solo laner just gets all that pressure. So definitely like this Nemesis pick to pair with that Bellona, because Nemesis can come over and punish that Osiris, even starting around level 5.
Problem is, though, you talked about Thoth in the mid lane, low clear early on. Nemesis, low clear early on as well. This is going to be tricky here for Sanguine.
That's true, but as long as Sanguine in the solo lane can get ahead, that's enough pressure that you can kind of carry that Nemesis through the early game, which can then in turn just kind of tag that Thoth along for the ride and get towards that mid to late game stages where they want to fight.
Well, Rob Poseidon banned out by Sanguine. They don't really deal with extra sustain from the Raw or the Poseidon Krakens and the Whirlpools, which locked down a lot of the mobility thanks to that cripple.
I like this Hu Yi ban coming out from Optimus Gang as well. That was the Hunter along with Kernados that was really dominant during the Masters LAN, and just taking that off the board. Clearly they don't want it. They want to make sure Sanguine wasn't going to get it with that first selection out of the ban phase.
Definitely. But Medusa locked in instead. Fantastic wave clear overall. Decent dominance in the lane. Not crazy in terms of the 1v1 potential, but he's going to be able to farm effectively safe and then turn up in the team fights around mid-game.
That's the thing. Team fight ultimate there out of that Petrify for Medusa. This is a very team fight oriented draft thus far for Sanguine that can also sprinkle in some picks with that Nemesis pick. A pretty well-rounded draft, but I love this Isis selection in the mid lane. Isis Thor is, when you want to talk about pressure in the mid jungle, it's Isis Thor. Like, that's all you need in order to pressure out an opposing mid laner. Good luck to that Thoth, because it's going to be tough to keep your beads up and stay safe.
Well, Terra has fallen from grace a little bit down to the last pick there, but still getting picked up in the support role here. Duo lane then is going to be Rama Fafnir up against the Medusa Terra at the start. I actually feel Fafnir Rama should be a little bit more dominant there early on, just because of the level 1 clear from Terra.
Yeah, level 1 clear from Fafnir. As bad as it is for Terra at level 1, Fafnir's is excellent. I mean, that hammer does 100 damage at rank 1, which is very, very high for a Guardian ability. So this is going to be a strong early game draft from Optimus Gang. You look at solo, jungle, mid, that all three are pretty early game oriented. Late game is there between the Fafnir and the Ram. Well-rounded draft thus far from Optimus Gang.
Now, DeathPanter in the mid lane there, you saw him playing support in the last split in the SPL. He's been a multi-role player for quite a long time. He's been around the Challenger Cup scene as well, playing solo, support, and now, in this game, going to be in the mid lane. But he did start Vampiric Shroud here, which I'm quite interested by, because Soulstone was pretty effective on Isis, is it not?
Yeah, I like Soulstone on Isis a lot. That is a curious decision here. Maybe just looking for that health, extra sustain, try and stay in lane a little bit longer so that he can help Dzoni just invade the oppositional jungle, something like that to try and get his early game going.
Well, on the right-hand side as well, look what Cherryo started on this Terra. He's gone for Hog at the start of the game, but he's also picked up that Lono's Mask, one of the newer items to the game as well, where you can get those stacks up to get yourself some bonus gold.
And that's going to be very key for Cherryo to make sure he gets those quickly, because if you don't find those stacks early on, then it's very difficult to get your Sovereignty going, your Gauntlet of Thebes, your Heartwood Amulet, whatever aura item you want to go for first. It's very important in order to find it early on. You don't want to wait too long by investing that 500 gold into Lono's Mask.
Well, a little bit of invade on that speed buff on the right-hand side there. You can see the pressure Optimus Gang have around it. Fafnir going to zone them away there, so Fusify doing good work to allow Sibi just to get in there and strip that away. With Dzoni in tow, they have left Kespainify on his own in the duo lane.
And this is something that we see a lot of teams do. They just say their Hunter, good luck, we'll see you at 20 minutes or so. And Kespainify on the Ram is probably okay with that. Yes, he's going to lose both buffs on that left-hand side. Yes, he's going to get consistently pressured under tower, but Ram is very, very safe, can clear under tower pretty well as well, and so he's just going to get that solo farm going. I'd like to see Cherryo spend this amount of time over in the duo lane, make sure that both these buffs get secured, and then start to rotate towards the mid and allow Baas to get some solo farm of his own.
Well, typical European style right now, you split the map in two. Nothing's really changed there, it seems, because you can see Sanguine have focused all on the left-hand side of the map, controlling both the reds and the purple buffs, whereas Sanguine, they've invested into the speeds and blues, stealing them away from Sanguine, and now can default back to their own side of the jungle.
I like this play from Optimus Gang. The early right side of the jungle is worth a little bit more because of the fire elementals being a little bit more worth it for your team. Yes, these oracles are good golden experience and give you that vision, but the fire elementals are just worth a little bit more, and then you're getting your solo laner ahead, and while getting your hunter ahead in the early game is nice, but it doesn't make the same sort of impact as a really fed Osiris coming into these mid-game team fights that can really turn it around and then just give that farm to your hunter late game.
Now, the biggest thing I've seen to do with Relic so far, especially with the changes that we've had since Masters, is what you can actually see here is that you've got Sunder on the side of Fusify on that Fafnir, and then Cherryo going for the Hog. With Meditation being so weak right now, aggro, there's no reason to be going for Meditate. It doesn't work out as well for supports. In the early game, it's great, but as the game goes on, it isn't as effective because you're not going to hit level 20.
Exactly, and it does still work very well on solo laners because it is rotated around those levels, and solo laners, of course, are going to hit level 20 the majority of the time. But I agree with you, and Sunder is very aggressive coming out of Fusify, but that really synergizes with this draft that they've gone for. It's all about early aggression, and so if you can really get some early kills with that Sunder, the fact that you're lacking a meditation or a sprint or a shell or some sort of defensive relic like that, doesn't really matter if your opposition's just outright dead.
And on top of that, you're playing Fafnir, who's got a fantastic ability to kill somebody solo, at least a mage. Now with a Sunder in tow, it adds to that extra spike of damage that is going to be available for them if he gets in that 1v1 scenario against DarkDodo, who could find himself, closed down by a Fafnir there.
Oh, absolutely. Fafnir can definitely solo mid laners, even without Sunder, but with Sunder, without a doubt, if DarkDodo uses that dash aggressively to try and get a stun in a team fight, all it's going to take is Fusify and maybe the snipes out of Kespainify a little bit. to make sure that DeathDodo will fall, but it's not going to take a whole lot.
There's only stun in the mid lane there, bit of pressure from Cherryo. Not going to try the body block for now, so he's just going to relieve that for the time being. Both teams just working towards their full boots at the moment, all tier 2s online. Couple of warrior tabbies for the solo laners, and as well on the left-hand side, Kespainify also has that available. Elementals on the right, going to be contested right now. Not contested, just picked up by Optimus Gang, sorry, I should say, because they're actually looking to invade the speed buff for a second time here.
And this is what you want to do with this early pressure you've gotten for yourself on the right-hand side. Continue to put pressure on the enemy buffs. As Dzoni's looking for an ult.
Looking for an ult in the sky right now, looking to come down on AIexi. Potentially, he was trying to make the rotation round. He's picked apart and bursted down by the double tap of Dzoni. Now Cherryo in trouble too, looking to get away, but Lord of the Afterlife and Dzoni picks up a second kill early on. Optimus Gang off to a good start at 420.
Love that, just full commit onto the solo laner. With how much CC Optimus Gang has, they don't have to worry about even diminishing returns. You just dump every CC you have, staggered out perfectly there into AIexi, never gets a chance to use his equals rally, and that early burst damage courtesy of Thor Isis already in full effect. An easy first blood there, and Cherryo just caught out trying to help his teammates, and a good ultimate out of Sibi locks him down in place long enough for Optimus to pick up the double.
Not only that, though, they get the speed and blue buff yet again from Sanguine's jungle, so it's about a 1,500 gold lead early on for Optimus Gang. I did like that draft coming into this one as well, Aggro. I think they really won the picks and bans strategy so far. They're just going to keep playing it at this rate.
Gorgonzolla in a little bit of trouble, gets walled off beautifully there by the Thor, but not enough early damage without the ultimates. If DeathPanter had that ultimate up, that could have been another kill, but Gorgonzolla probably passed that way just because he knows that circle of protection is down.
Well, on the right-hand side, though, Sibi's in trouble. The bludgeon from AIexi is good, but it's not enough to get him the kill. Osiris will live for now, and Sibi will be taking a trip back to base, I expect, soon, but he's hanging around. Luckily enough, though, he does have Dzoni in tow around the blue buff area in case they look for the all-in.
May as well get those last two archers that were still alive because, like you mentioned, Thor's in your jungle. He can come in and wall off AIexi, but AIexi doesn't have his ultimate. He doesn't have any mana. No real easy way for that Bellona to close the gap and make that kill happen.
Well, Kespainify over in this duo lane right now, playing the Rama. He's duo lane partner, Fusify. 2 Russians. We don't have many Russians in the Pro League now. These two will be the first 2, I believe, over in Europe to enter if they can make it through these relegations.
And you could tell that they're, similar because of the Phis. Yeah, the Phi duo lane.
Exactly.
They make it nice and easy for us.
You've got like, you've seen the likes of Elevate, where they used to be called the Bruise Brothers in the duo lane, with the 2 Frenchies. Now we've got 2 Russians here. We're going to have to work out what to call them as time goes on.
Yeah, they got to have like a cute little couple.
They've got to
name,
have something.
What I mean? We'll come up with something. We're clever people here.
No, we're not.
They don't have to know that though, Hindu. We can just tell them that we're clever.
I'm just more honest. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I don't lie. I just speak truths.
Oh, is that so?
Speak truths. Like you suck.
In the mid lane, DeathPanter 2v3'd right now with Fusify, but definitely just going to play this passively until Dzoni shows up and immediately Gorgonzolla pays for it.
Love the silence coming out from DeathPanter 2 onto Cherryo to stop Cherryo from dashing away. And that sets up a second kill that Fusify will pick up for himself as well. And now the trio from the mid lane of the jungle support and the mid are all getting kills in this game. And they're looking to pressure and try and pick Dodo off in the mid as well.
Fusify wanted to keep that fight going, but I'm surprised that Optimus Gang isn't just directly going for the Gold Fury. They got 2 down. Yes, their Circle of Protection was used, but Fusify still had that Dragon form for a little bit, had another AoE Coerce available. Between Kespainify rotating over, yeah, you have to worry about Baas coming in with Petrify, but you've got 4 people there to 2.
But when you think about Petrify, Final Judgment, we're both available there. They're 2 big ults that can game change your Gold Fury, and if you don't want to make a mistake and give them a window back in, why not play it safer? I can see the idea that they would try to pick Dodo instead.
Sure, but you want to bait Dodo in farther than that. Dodo's not going to come in if you're sitting on top of, top left Harpies. You need to make Baas make the call that they are on Gold Fury, and then you jump on top of them. Especially with Dzoni still having his ult. I mean, that was an easy bait in on the Gold Fury if Optimus Gang just full committed to the objective, or at least pretended to full commit to it.
Well, with that pressure, they did go and steal the speed buff again. The blue buff's due to come up in Sanguine's jungle this time round. Not sure if we're going to see Dzoni go over there, although he's making his way across towards those elementals now. As Sanguine, a 4-man in the back Harpies right now, just trying to get some farm for themselves. Only 8 minutes in, they're quite considerably behind.
So when we were talking about this Nemesis pick during picks and bans, I liked it when just assuming that it was going to be able to get at least 1 speed buff for himself, but that really hasn't been the case thus far, and that's good recognition by Optimus Gang that this Nemesis could get out of control very easily. It's a very easy way to stop an early game composition to have a mid to late game character like Nemesis start to control the game early on. So instead, Optimus Gang focus their attention to Gorgonzolla and make sure he's not able to have an impact in these early stages.
And that's what we expected from Thoth and Nemesis in the mid lane up against a Thor and Isis. You're going to lose pressure early, and that's what Optimus Gang have really abused in the early stages, is invade, pressure the buffs, make sure Nemesis stays behind, and now DeathPanter's quite comfortable in the mid lane because of it. Dzoni hitting level 12 relatively soon.
But the problem with this for Optimus Gang is that, yes, they've gotten a lot of invades. Yes, they're up 4-0 in kills, but they don't have a Gold Fury yet. And in fact, it's Sanguine starting it up right now. This lead really isn't that big yet.
Well, the snipes out very, very early from Kespainify there. The Gold Fury will go down. It goes to Optimus Gang. They steal that one away. Not sure if it was Fusify or Kespainify there, but there's the Lord of the Afterlife from Sibi trying to chase down onto Baas. Instead, it's Cherryo that's going to be the wounded target that's running for his life as Thor comes in. Dzoni will claim a third life this game.
Kespainify, I think, was the one to steal that one away with the snipes. That's bad news bears right there.
It looked really early, though.
Yeah, it was early, and they didn't leash it. Now AIexi came crashing in with that Eagles rally, and he's the one in some trouble.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of pressure for AIexi now underneath the tower, but he will survive for the time being. Gets himself back to safety as Gorgonzolla goes in DeathPanter's, trying to keep him honest, but still no ability for Sanguine to find a kill.
And Sanguine just has to drop that Gold Fury in that instance. I mean, Kespainify's up in the sky. Usually those ROM sites just end up helping you out on the Gold Fury, because as soon as you get hit by the first one, you just reset the Gold Fury back up and then wait for him to fall out of the sky. I guess Sanguine knew that they had limited time and they didn't want to wait until Kespainify's ultimate went down. But without, I mean, I don't know if Final Judgment was used there to try and secure it. Either way, it's just way too risky to try and get that Gold Fury in that scenario when you're already down. As I was mentioning, this lead for Optimus Gang wasn't horribly big at that stage, and Sanguine was still had that late game potential. But after that Gold Fury loss, that makes that job that much harder. Look at that hard spike up for Optimus Gang, continuing to push that lead that Sanguine just kind of gifted to them.
Well, Optimus Gang now trying to pressure around the Portal Demon, not because the Portal Demon they want to take. They actually want the speed buff for another time. Sanguine not even in position to defend this. Only Cherryo really here, but he does have that hog available. I'm not sure if it's off cooldown right now. We'll find out as the buff does go to Cherryo there. I believe he did hog it away.
And the good play there. And finally, Gorgonzolla able to pick up one of his own speed buffs. Yeah, that's, you can just tilt all game long, but all it takes is one orange little belt around your waist and everything all of a sudden isn't so bad. You can start making some plays.
Gets a little bit better.
Yeah.
Mid lane, Cherryo under pressure again. Spirit Ball didn't hit home from DeathPanter there, though. That could have caused a bit more of an issue for Optimus Gang. But here on the right-hand side, you can see Sibi has rotated around for the right and Harpies as well. And with Kespainify grouping up, Optimus Gang may look to pressure mid a little bit harder.
DeathPanter eats a lot of damage, but again, it's Gorgonzolla walled off. Double dash gets him around it nicely. Sibi is here, but instead, Optimus Gang just going to focus down the tower.
Yeah, especially with that Fafnir on the front line, though. That Coerce is doing damage for Kespainify to just keep ripping through. Dzoni in the sky, trying to force Sanguine back. We'll look towards Cherryo for a second, changing his mind, however. We'll go to the right-hand side, continue farming. I think that's a good call.
And going for that blue buff. Again, just focusing on the invades thus far. Good disciplined play from Optimus Gang, which is the exact opposite of what Sanguine did around that Gold Fury. No surprise that Optimus Gang's the one a little bit ahead based on how disciplined they've been playing.
Now, Optimus Gang were the #1 seed coming out of the Challenger circuit, so they did end up getting themselves to the little fight that we saw at the Gauntlet from themselves, and against Sanguine of all people, who have still yet to win a single game in the Spring Split or even the Gauntlet to give themselves a shot. And coming up against Optimus Gang, it's looking like it's business as usual for Sanguine right now. They're down and they're losing.
I mean, this is a very execution-oriented composition that just isn't coming on quite yet. Now, Sanguine still has hopes in the late game because their late game is infinitely better than that of Optimus Gang. I mean, leaps and bounds ahead of what Optimus Gang's going to be able to do, but the problem is they have to get there.
Hold out.
Optimus Gang is looking like they might not allow Sanguine to reach those late game stages. Doing a good job of strangle-holding them thus far, at least in that jungle. Now, DeathDarkDodo's done a nice job of keeping pace with DeathPanter in terms of levels. He's sitting at level 11, exactly where DeathPanter is, and that's not easy to do when you're falling this far behind everywhere in your jungle. So there is still hope for Sanguine, and it's really riding on that of Gorgonzolla and DeathDarkDodo.
And Optimus Gang showed what they were going to try and do with pressuring that mid tower, trying to continue this lead on a little bit more. But since then, they've fallen back to farming off in the lanes for the time being. Dzoni is just keeping an eye on where Gorgonzolla is and clearing out that ward immediately, making sure there's no vision available for Sanguine on Optimus Gang's side of the map.
And it looks like Fusify went for Lono's Mask after the boots there. It looks like he completed Travelers, then went for the Lono's Mask, and it looks like he may have completed it already. So a little bit of a different style between the two supports, and clearly Fusify's ahead, not only because his team is ahead, but because he has the Traveler shoes, and he's Fafnir.
And he's Fafnir.
He just gets
I
way more
was wondering
gold.
if you can remember that last bit of, like, he's Fafnir as well, so he gets all that bonus gold for just being around things that die. It's even better for him to have a Lono's Mask.
How could I forget? Fafnir is like top farm in every game at this point. I mean, it's just ridiculous how much farm he
A
gets.
little bit deep from Dzoni if he really wants to go for this. They're looking for the speed buff invade, but going to collapse onto Gorgonzolla. Gorgonzolla will turn the damage around immediately, and that root actually ends up hitting Dzoni. Dzoni's in a bit of trouble here. Not sure if they can really fully collapse, but there goes AIexi in onto Dzoni as well. The beads come out, and Dzoni will escape. Final judgment. Didn't judge anything there. Dodo was just too far away.
A lot of ultimates used by Sanguine, and not a lot to show for it. Dzoni uses his purification beads, and DeathPanter uses Circle of Protection defensively, and the end. That's basically all Sanguine got out of all 5 ultimates there. Win for Optimus, and they're going to look immediately for the Portal Demon because they know Sanguine can't afford to try and contest it.
Yeah, it could be a bit of a trade, though, because Gold Fury's pulled at the same time, but with Gorgonzola doing the red buff, they've not got the damage to stop the Sanguine from getting the red buff, at least on the left, but it does mean that Optimus can get that Portal Demon for free and now can collapse to the Gold Fury.
And I like Sibi's positioning there. He teleports into the Gold Fury to make sure that nothing's going to happen there, that Optimus Gang can't defend. Gorgonzola, again, stunned out. Nice juke there by DeathPanter to get out of the way of those 2 crushing stones, avoiding the stun and putting a little bit of extra poke onto Gorgonzola.
There's only a little bit too far forward here, but he's trying to keep them busy so his team could look towards that Gold Fury. Sibi collapsing onto Cherryo for a second, and Sibi on that Osiris trying to make sure nobody can really get in here. Only DarkDodo has turned up, has the final judgment available, but he won't get a chance to fire as Gold Fury goes to Optimus Gang. 2-0 in Gold Fury's 5-0 in kills.
Sanguine just doesn't seem to be ready to respond to whatever Optimus Gang is doing.
It's a new team, though. That's the way I'm looking at it.
It is a new team, but it's also a new team for Optimus Gang. I mean, they lost their jungler, Gorgonzola, who's on Sanguine's side now. I mean, I don't know. DeathPanter new in the mid lane as well. Optimus Gang seems very, very well organized. They're working together well as a unit, and you just can't say the same about Sanguine right now. And a lot of these times, just to me, it looks like Optimus Gang looks much more like a team than Sanguine does. And whenever you're working as a team with a composition like this, it's very difficult to fight into that whenever you're just trying to play like individuals.
Well, Sanguine tried to find a pick on Sibi in the mid lane there, but Lord of the Afterlife and that fantastic Spirit Ball coming out from DeathPanter again allowed Optimus Gang to get the solo tower, and now they're coming mid, Dzoni in the sky, looking for Baas potentially, or will it be Cherry again?
It's going to be the mid laner DarkDodo, but immediately Dzoni stunned out and punished. Baas puts Sanguine on the board.
Judgment didn't hit, but Cherryo's walls will collapse and pick up a second kill for Sanguine. Fusify stunned in place as the bludgeon comes down, but just misses from AIexi. Tanking the tower now is Sanguine with the sustain from the monolith of Cherryo. The tier 1 will fall in mid lane. Sanguine, hello boys, are we awake?
So this is the problem whenever you go for an early game composition that's entirely pressure oriented, is you're great, you know, you're in the lead, but it only takes 1 or 2 small mistakes in order to let a team composition like Sanguine's get back into it, and there was one. That was a mistake there from Thor to go crashing in without any purification beats that deep into the enemy backline, and all of a sudden Sanguine has all the momentum. Whenever you're losing a major part of that CC and damage on the side of Optimus Gang, very difficult to turn that fight in your favor, even with some of the ultimates available. DeathPanter also didn't have his beads. They were forced out by Cherryo underneath that tower, so he can't step up. Sibi doesn't have his ultimate, so he can't step up. No chance for anyone to get into Thor's just help range, so he's going to fall quickly, and Sanguine get not only that kill, another, and the tower.
Well, it's the first win there for Sanguine, but Optimus still in the lead in this game for the time being. It's at least a 5k at the moment between the two teams. But Sanguine have opportunities to get back in this. Cherryo pressuring mid lane, trying to stop them from taking the tier 1. With AIexi coming in with a teleport there as well. It's actually Optimus Gang on the run again.
Thor going to wall 2 members off there from Sanguine, and DeathPanter is going to be able to get out just okay. Love that play there from Fusify, though, with Optimus Gang posturing to siege down that middle tower. Him stopping Baas's back and making it so it would take him longer to get back to defend that. Really, really smart play. Unfortunately, AIexi's there with that teleport to stop that siege from Optimus Gang, but heads up play from Fusify to try and make that a longer power play for his team.
Well, the thing Sanguine realized, though, is that once they did find that pick in the mid lane and won that little teamfight engagement, they get the tier 1 tower, and it's back to farming and playing safe again. They're still not in a position where they can just take fights straight on and keep going deep into the enemy jungle. They've got to try and find picks. AIexi, though, may get picked in the mid lane there. A lot of pressure onto him early. Nice little damage out of Sibi as well, who's going to make sure Gorgonzolla can't rotate in.
And AIexi is going to be the focus for Optimus Gang for a little bit longer because of his style of build. No magical protection still for the solo laner, going for a heavy hammer, an item that we haven't seen a whole lot of as of late. Should it be DeathPanter just looking to poke out AIexi consistently?
AIexi has been pushed back, but Sibi's taking a lot of the damage there. The tower falls down, Petrify out, but he didn't hit anyone. Fusify avoided most of that by turning into a dragon.
Fusify also avoided that final judgment from DeathDodo that was also way off the mark there. So again, these two game-changing teamfight ultimates from Sanguine don't find a home, and that has to change moving into this game if they want to win these later game team fights. They're down about 6,000 gold right now. That's not a good spot to be in by any stretch, but this game is not over. Sanguine has a composition that can deal with a 6k gold deficit. They just have to hit their skills, and they have to be impactful. You cannot afford to be missing ultimates like that in these big team fights. Now, in that one right there, not a big deal. That fight was over and done with. Baas and DeathDodo are going to be able to get both their ultimates up before the next engagement happens. But when that next engagement happens, they have to be more accurate.
Look towards the builds again. DeathPanter in the mid lane, going for the Spirit of the Magus on Isis here. How do you feel about that?
I like it. You're just stripping away protections with that Wind Gust, and with looking at AIexi's build, there isn't a lot of magical protection to strip away. You could also say the same about Cherryo, who hasn't gone for a Heartwood Amulet. It's only that Gauntlet of Thieves passive that everyone is getting. So there's not a whole lot of magical protection to strip away. So you only need, you know, the Spirit Ball in one part of the Wind Gust in order to really get good effectiveness out of that Spirit of the Magus.
Well, DeathDodo has the highest player damage right now. Spirit Ball hits Gorgonzolla. He can't get away. Gorgonzola's beads are down. He's still alive for now, but Dzoni may change that in an instant. The stun hits and picks up one. Walls from Cherryo will slow them down. Eagle's Rally defensively used, but the boys of Optimus Gang aren't slowing down.
Baas in a lot of trouble, but he's going to be able to escape courtesy of the Aegis. AIexi's 1 HP as well. Kespainify already used the snipe, so those members are going to be able to get back to base, but they may have to deal with a Fire Giant Optimus Gang if that's what they want to go for.
Speed buff stolen, given to Dzoni again. Round the back, he gets the wall on Dodo, but it's not going to trap him in place. The rest of his team are going to pick up the Portal Demon, though, as Fusify and Dzoni continue to keep them at bay. Sanguine lose another objective.
Optimus Gang again elect for the safer options. Instead of going for the Fire Giant there, they instead go for the Portal Demon. Because this Gold Fury's up, I like this call. Now, if the Gold Fury was down, I think I would have rather seen Optimus Gang go for the Fire Giant itself.
Sure.
DeathDodo didn't have his ultimate. What's Cherryo going to do? I mean, he's Terra. There's not a whole lot of skill potential.
He does have Hand of the Gods.
That's true, but it's not a lot of damage. I mean, we're talking 480 basically on these objectives, and even Spirit Ball is doing more than that. So you can really zone him out fairly effectively. But because this Gold Fury's up, this is just Optimus Gang. Instead of taking the riskier call, just resetting, getting their ultimates back up, and going for an objective that doesn't hurt them as much if they were to lose it.
And Sanguine recognize they can't contest that Gold Fury whatsoever, so Optimus Gang continue to extend their gold lead a little bit more now. That portal may have just ended, unfortunately, otherwise we could have seen Optimus Gang immediately go towards this Fire Giant straight away. Actually, no, the portal's still up for a few more seconds. That was quick. 45 seconds to get Portal Demon and the Gold Fury and get back there in time. That worked out nicely for Optimus Gang.
Certainly did, and now they're looking to make something else happen on this right-hand side. Thor trying to find the wall and finds it onto Gorgonzolla. Just gets his beads up in time, but he's got trouble lurking around the backside.
Yeah, they're all waiting for him there. Lord of the Afterlife used, didn't stun at the same time. Petrify hits one, as does the Eagle's Rally, but Kespainify is fine enough as the Spirit Ball comes out from Panther. The heal was good, but the stun's better from Cherryo. That's going to force Panther's beads, as AIexi still trying to go in on him, forcing Fusify back as well. The stun from Cherryo hits Sibi, and Sibi will be the first one down. Sanguine could get a power play here.
They're looking for it, 5v4, trying to chase Optimus Gang down, but not a lot of mobility quite yet. DeathDodo has the dash available, but misses the stun onto DeathPanter. AIexi dashes forward into the tower. Fusify trying to turn it around, and Johnny's here.
And into the back line goes Dzoni. He gets one and gets the Aegis out of Dodo. 4-man stun, one double tap, and that'll be the end of Sanguine advancing down the solo lane.
Wow, I'm surprised Thor wasn't able to do a little bit more damage in that scenario. It looks like that could have turned heavily in Optimus Gang's favor. It has a little bit. It's now Sanguine on the retreat as Kespainify has that ultimate available. Could try and snipe out DeathDodo if he chooses. Is on a ward, so Sanguine would know if he was looking for it, but instead just looking to put out a couple more autos, but now he's in trouble as Baas was waiting for him. The acid spray is enough, courtesy of the Bluestone. Kespainify there, just a little bit too aggressive.
The whole of Optimus Gang just didn't know what they wanted to do there, it felt like, aggro. Like, they had this small advantage of forcing Sanguine back, but with one member dead, they were like, well, we should wait for this. We can't do Fire Giant right now, and instead they just lose a life, which slows down the game again.
Exactly, and going back to what I was saying earlier about how they look like the team that is more well-organized, working better as a unit, that was the first time that we've seen them not look like a unit, where it's Dzoni trying to wall off Gorgonzolla with DeathPanter, and then the wrap around the back, not a lot of communication that Petrify was possibly coming around the corner from Baas. And then it looked like DeathPanter wanted to lay down that circle of protection to give Optimus Gang an area to fight, but Kespainify gets out of the heal before it gets popped. Just a couple small miscues from Optimus Gang that happen back to back to back that allow Sanguine to get that pressure and get a couple kills. Now they do lose some on their own for it. The Thor rotation was beautiful there by Dzoni, but overall, Optimus Gang definitely could have come out more on top there instead of just slightly on top.
Well, right now I'm looking towards Baas from Sanguine on that Medusa. Level 19 right now, the highest level. Keep it on the solo lane. It's actually a lot further behind than the Hunters than you normally expect. But neither of them gone for a crit build here. Mainly Pen and Chins, as you started to see and seen the majority of the season so far. But Baas 4-0-1, second on the player damage as well. His Petrifies have made impacts in these fights. His damage output has been good along with his positioning.
Without a doubt, he's been the shining light thus far for Sanguine, and it looks like they want to stop Optimus Gang from doing this Fire Giant, do so nicely. Good poke coming out of DeathDodo. This is where Thoth can really be impactful in these long range. There's no chance for you to touch him, but he can touch you with that long-range hieroglyphic assault. This is where DeathDodo needs to make some hay in this situation for Sanguine.
There's been a lot of talk about whether the meta is starting to switch towards a more poke-orientated meta now, and if that is the case, that poke there from Dzoni is pretty good. The difference is that Terra is on one of these teams, so the sustain will come through. Kespainify from downtown will take out the sustain from Cherryo.
Huge turn for Optimus Gang. They get the pick on a Cherryo. Dzoni really deep there. Immediately recognizes his mistake. But great play out of Thor to get the beads out from DeathDodo in the mid lane while Optimus Gang is fighting on the right-hand side. Cherryo just caught in the wrong spot.
Kespainify doing the Fire Giant on his own. Reinforcements now appearing here, but most of them trying to focus on the front line, making sure Sanguine can't get in. Gorgonzolla tries to wrap around the back, but Dodo explodes Sibi with the ultimate coming through too. Dzoni gets AIexi in trade as Gorgonzolla turns his attention to Panther, but as soon as the Aegis comes through, Gorgon's the one in trouble.
Wall should be coming up soon for Dzoni, but that Spirit Ball not going to hit in time. Kespainify not able to do that Fire Giant, in fact decides to back, and that's the one weakness of this build that Kespainify has gone for, is he doesn't have a ton of Fire Giant damage. Yes, his Tower Shred is good, but the Fire Giant really isn't, and he doesn't have any lifesteal either, so there's no way for him to stick on that objective while everyone else is going in.
2 in a row, buddy. Fusify's really got your number right now. Don't back in front of him again. Fusify's going to hit you with a hammer. And there you go. He's been forced back one more time. But you also saw Cherryo use the ultimate out of Terra there to try and get the team in a better position. But it missed communication because it wasn't used well. Gorgonzolla, though, is now out of position. He's got a bit of support in the background from Dodo, but there's not a whole lot Dodo can do about this.
This Spirit Ball misses after the stun does, but it doesn't matter because Fusify picks up where the jungler and mid laner left off. Good pick there onto Gorgonzolla, who again just doesn't have the purification beads. That's all it comes down to, is if you have your purification beads, you can fight into this Optimus Gang composition at 26 minutes. If you don't, it doesn't matter where you are in your build because there's just too much CC to deal with.
And you can see most people approaching 5-6 items in this game right now. 10-6 in favor of Optimus Gang. The Portal Demon going their way as well. Technically means now the Fire Giant dance will continue a little bit longer. Sanguine still not out of it yet. One team fight will change this game in its head, especially with the Fire Giant being available and the respawn time starting to increase.
But DeathPanter will have that circle of protection soon. It's going to be difficult for Sanguine to steal away the Fire Giant. DeathDodo has some opportunity. I mean, Final Judgment's going to do over 1,000 damage at this stage, but as long as DeathPanter times it right, this should go off.
Focus on Cherryo, fully invaded onto him, trying to get all the pressure off. Cherryo's still alive, though. Dzoni gets it, but Kespainify's been left 1v1 against AIexi. Cancel that, Dzoni to the rescue.
That's big peel coming out of the Thor. Sibi finds Baas on the front side. Gorgonzolla's going to answer back onto Fusify, but it's 3 for 1 right now. Optimus Gang just working together beautifully.
Bad news bears, though. The Portal Demon did just end, and you saw DeathPanter wanting to back real quick, but realizing they could still go for the Fire Giant here, he's had to hang around. Got to be very careful of DeathDodo. With one hit, he could potentially spell the end of Panther as the Aegis is forced on Dodo.
A little bit of a panic there out of DeathDodo after Dzoni went for the hot play with the hammer wall-off combination, but just wasn't in range. Fire Giants is started up here by Optimus Gang. Kespainify has completed that Fatalis, a little bit more of a late game item now, gives him a ton of attack speed.
Sibi on zone duty, gonna get the tether down just to keep Dodo further back, but they've got Fire Giants getting low. Sibi could look to get in trouble there, but no, he'll get away. The Fire Giant goes the way of Optimus Gang as well.
Close. DeathDodo had an opportunity, but just couldn't find the steal. Good secure there by Optimus Gang, and all 5 members have that Fire Giant buff. This early game pressure has continued to translate for Optimus Gang, still in the lead against the late game style of composition from Sanguine, even 28 minutes in.
It's already worrying for Sanguine now, though, because you only get 3 games in the group stage here to try and get yourself in. You want 2 wins, because that should pretty much guarantee you back into the Pro League, but you lose your first game against, you know, one of the Challenger Cup teams, then you're sweating a little bit. The performances and results end up going your way elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. You're definitely... The first game is very important in these relegation sort of styles, but what we usually talk about in these relegations is the games against the SPL teams are very, very important. If you can find a win against your other SPL team that's trying to defend, you're already ahead.
Safe.
Yeah, you're already ahead because you're assumed to beat at least another Challenger Cup team. But Sanguine has really cut their own work out for themselves. If they lose this game against Optimus Gang, they have to find those victories against Nova Zorsa and the other Challenger Cup team. And
these towers will not take long, especially against a Fafnir with Coerce and a Rama too. Sibi in the mid lane just split pushing a little bit as there's no real siege from Sanguine coming out. They're actually looking for a pick themselves. Optimus on Cherryo, and Cherryo's already dead. 4v5.
Cherry just has not had a good game thus far. 1-6-4. He's been focused out pretty heavily, I would say, by Optimus Gang, but I don't know how much of that is Optimus Gang deciding to dump everything into a support and how much of it is Cherry just being at the wrong place.
And now they don't even need minions to take down these towers anymore with this roster and the Fire Giant still on their side as well. They'll get another speed buff for themselves. I'm pretty sure he's had 1 speed buff all game, Gorgonzolla.
And that was stolen by Cherry. So in those terms, Cherry's had a solid game because he's got Gorgonzolla a speed buff, and really, that's all anyone cares about when they're on their team, is getting their own buffs.
The correction for me, though, for Sanguine, after looking at this game 1, is picks and bans, because you can't give up a roster like that where it's all early pressure across every lane in favor of Optimus Gang, and then expect to just weather the storm enough to come back into it. They had 1 opportunity where they won 1 team fight, but they were so far behind because of the early game, it didn't really make that much of a difference.
I would agree with you there. Just too much late game for Sanguine. I mean, this is a meta that is dictated by early pressure. That's what everyone is saying.
That's what I'm talking about.
So you may as well just... Maybe they thought they could just change everyone's mind and go for their own thing, but it hasn't worked out thus far. For me, also, it just their coordination needs a little bit of work. Baas has been the one that's really looked good thus far. DeathDodo has escaped with 0 deaths to this point, but also has not really made that game-changing impact that you expect out of a 30-minute Thoth. He is top of the player damage chart.
I will say, like, to be fair, a lot of talk goes to Dodo of, like, he's the one on the roster. Everyone's like, why is Dodo still here? Well, Dodo's doing better than most of the team right now.
No, he's doing fine, but he's not, your first pick Thoth potential.
Sibi forced to ult defensively there as he did go a little bit too deep. No minions on his side. Wait for the next minion wave through. Kespainify will go in to get a few extra autos off onto that Phoenix. The Fire Giant buff won't remain too much longer, but they're still trying to make sure they can pick Cherryo again.
About 50 seconds left on that. Sibi gonna take a lot of damage from that final judgment. Circle of Protection's good for the moment, but Baas finds the first kill of the engagement.
Great defense from Sanguine so far. The Phoenix still stands as Kespainify and the minion wave comes in. Dzoni will make sure there's room to get that Phoenix down, and Optimus Gang look to fall back slowly. Dzoni, the last one to exit there. Kespainify is going to get hit by the walls, but there's no follow-up from Sanguine to try and punish him for getting too far forward.
Optimus Gang is going to take that trade every day of the week. 1 member for the middle Phoenix, definitely worth it for the Challenger Cup team. And they're losing their solo laner who has teleport available, and you've got Portal Demon. So he doesn't even have to use his teleport.
Yep.
He's going to be able to get right back into this engagement without much issue. Good play there from Sanguine. They use too much, though, in terms of finding that solo laner. Yes, you get a kill, but again, how much do you actually gain for killing a solo laner in that instance? Not a whole lot. They need to be focusing out Kespainify, who's very far in the back. And AIexi tried to do that during the last Fire Giant fight, but immediately Thor was right there with that ultimate. Yeah. So it's difficult. You need multiple members on the back line if you're going to try and play it that way. DeathDodo hits Sibi with that ultimate, but not the backliners. It's just difficult because Sibi's only level 17.
Cherry, no. He's going to go down again here. I don't think he'll escape whatsoever. Dzoni gets himself another kill. Kespainify with the assist there as well. And now it's coming towards the end because they can just start pushing down the right-hand side with a 4v5 or even go back towards the Fire Giant again. One thing from that play, though, from Optimus in the mid lane that we were talking about, you know, that pickup of the 4-for-1, Sibi's going to be a little bit careful with his ultimate usage, because he uses ult to disengage and then went straight back in. You do that against pro-level teams, you're going to have a bad time.
They're going to
And that's me telling you, Sanguine are not a pro-level team with the way they're playing right now.
Not yet, but they've got an opportunity later on today, or maybe potentially turning it around here against Optimus Gang, though that's looking less likely by the moment.
I've seen worse throws, but I don't see this one being a throw right now. I think DeathPanter in the mid lane has had a fantastic game as well. For someone who played support in the last split and has played solo lane previously, coming into mid lane and go, I'll pick up ISIS and my silences are going to be on point every single time, can't complain.
Yeah, I mean, ISIS can be a solo laner's nightmare because it's very difficult to get around how much CC she has. So something the DeathPanter may have dealt with quite a bit. Can kind of put it into his own repertoire exactly as Fire Giant goes down, the second one of the game for Optimus Gang, who have looked fairly clean. A couple small mistakes, a couple small missteps, but most of their deaths have been in exchange for objectives, been in exchange for map pressure or trades in their favor. So even though they've died 8 times, it has been a fairly clean game from them.
And with Cherryo dying 7 times here, this is because of the composition the Sanguine run here. Optimus Gang recognize all the CC is going to come out of Terra. The rest have to use ultimates or even reposition tools to get some extra CCF. What's Nemesis going to do?
Yeah, not a whole lot.
What's Dodo going to do? Dash and stun? Well, we'll pick him apart if he does that. AIexi can ult. Medusa can ult. But if Cherryo's the one with the CC, kill the guy with the CC first. It makes it easier.
And most of it is close range CC as well. That range stun isn't super long range. It does have a little bit to it, but as far as the route goes, Cherryo has to be literally on top of you in order to find that route. So good recognition from Optimus Gang, and who's punished Cherryo pretty frequently here in this game.
Cheeky attempted a pick in the mid lane via Optimus Gang there, but it was just so Sibi could push in the duo lane right now, bring the minions with them, and allow them to remove the backdoor protections. With the Fire Giant buff, this shouldn't take too long at the Phoenix, but hopefully Optimus Gang don't make the mistake they did last time round.
Sibi in that front line once more, but hasn't used his ultimate aggressively this time. Kespainify with that Coerce buff is going to be difficult to corral for Sanguine. AIexi could try and get to that back line, but I'm not sure. Yeah, AIexi's still only level 19. Kespainify's full build.
Following along Kespainify now, he's just focused fully on that Phoenix, doesn't care about Cherryo dashing in towards him. Dzoni, though, may have to help him out a little bit now as Gorgonzolla went in. He catches Cherryo and AIexi, and the focus is once again onto Cherryo, who will not get away from this one whatsoever. Kespainify will clean up 1 kill as AIexi goes to the back and makes sure at least Sibi dies.
Kespainify still alive, though. That Bloodforge shield coming up big as Dzoni finds the second kill in this engagement. All 3 Phoenixes now down. Cancel that. Riddle 1 respawns and is now down. So all 3 at the end of the day still down. Where did Gorgonzolla just go?
I don't know. I know DeathPanter had something to do with it, though, because he got the kill credit, and now we look towards the Titan, where they're looking to end now. With the Coerce coming up from Fusify, the poke damage on Dodo was insane. Dzoni gets credit for the kill. Kespainify picks up Baas, and with that, Optimus Gang will take game 1 in the relegations.
Impressive play out of the Challenger Cup team there, and again, their team play was very impressive to me, but I gotta give it to Dzoni, man. I mean, he was killing it on that Thor all game long. The patience with that ultimate, waiting until Sanguine was diving into his backline, peeling, also engaging, finds a double stun there on that left side Phoenix at the end. Really good play all around from Optimus Gang.
Yeah, I thought Dzoni on that Thor had a fantastic game, but it all started with their composition for me. The picks and bans is what it comes down to. But you saw Dzoni early on. This was one of the start of the games where they looked towards that speed buff, and I like the fact he held it in the air a little bit longer. He looked at the whole big picture, saw that AIexi was going to be isolated, and he had enough members around. It was a free pick in the end.
Without a doubt. With that level of CC, it doesn't matter if Bellona has ult, because she's never going to get a chance to use it, and he was just always waiting so patiently in these team fights. This time his ult comes back up after an extended engagement on this right-hand side, and man, he deserved to get multiple kills there. Unfortunate that he got away with none.
But that's a great start for Dzoni in the jungle here for the side of Optimus Gang. Now that they've got that 1 game under their belt against a pro-level team, all they have to do is take on maybe the Pappies later on. That will secure them potentially the spot into the Pro League if everything goes their way.
Exactly. This is what I'm talking about. He's in the front line, poking out the enemy back line. Then he's hearing the call from Kespainify that he needs help, and so he goes to peel for his own. And that's the power of Thor, man. He can be all over the place for you at all times. He can be in the back line and then immediately transition into your own. I mean, really, really perfect play, basically, out of Dzoni in that one.
Beautiful play coming out from that team there. Optimus Gang now with the 1 game advantage. Next up, though, we've got the Pappies up against Norvis. Also, I'm excited about this one because these two have always been battling over the seasons, because it's normally Shadow Nightmare's team ends up in the bottom 2, goes to relegations, faces off against the Spanish.
beats them up and goes back to the SPL.
Sometimes beats them up, I'll give it that, because the Pappies have always been on the cusp.
They've always been
on the
right
cusp.
there. Man, I can't wait.
It's
Is
crazy.
this going to be finally their relegations?
Well, hopefully it will be. We'll find out shortly to see exactly how this one breaks down between the two teams. Picks and bans will be coming up momentarily.